Welcome to this short video which is on optimising working in virtual environments. Over the past few months, many of us have had to adjust to working entirely virtually. For some people, this transition would have been smooth and probably welcomed, but for others, the sudden change in working environment will have been both unsettling, stressful and inconvenient. And as we now start to look ahead, a lot of companies are considering maintaining this style of working for the medium to long term. So it's important that we understand some of the challenges we might face and how to overcome them to protect our well-being. Virtual working is a workplace that is not located in any one physical space. Changes to primary methods of communication between teams, for example from informal chats in the office or face-to-face meetings, to email, virtual meeting rooms and instant messenger, can make it difficult to get quick answers to questions or have spontaneous collaboration. Face-to-face contact is unique and it provides a level of socialisation that virtual contact can't always replace, and this can increase the risk of loneliness and isolation. Working from home can mean blurred lines between work and personal life, which can make it hard to switch off. Virtual working might also cause a shift in the way supervisors communicate with and manage their teams. For example, some might become harder to reach, while others may begin to increase their supervision. It can also be harder to support your colleagues and feel supported, especially when communication is less frequent and spontaneous. Miscommunications can commonly occur within virtual settings, especially over mediums like email or instant messaging, as you're unable to gauge body language and tone of voice. Working virtually can also impact creativity within teams that work in collaborative roles. This is largely due to the fact that voice or video calls have to be scheduled and are therefore less spontaneous, and communicating via email or instant message is more labour-intensive than simply chatting freely with your colleagues. There are, of course, some positives to virtual working. Many people report an increase in their productivity, which is probably due to fewer distractions and higher autonomy. It can also allow for more flexibility around working hours to suit each person's needs, providing both the role and the manager supports this. Finally, virtual workforces are not bound by physical location, meaning that they can attract talent that isn't necessarily based in the same country or region. So how can we optimise our virtual working environment? Firstly, it's important that as a team, you all establish and agree on which methods of communication will be used for certain tasks. For example, you may decide that all team meetings will be held via video conference, where members will catch up and share key updates, but for ad hoc or urgent information, you'll use instant messaging. Maintain and encourage the use of video conferencing as much as possible, particularly for one-to-ones. Having access to behavioural and emotional cues makes communication easier, can build and maintain relationships better, and will also enable team members to support each other. Communication with your line manager is key to ensuring they're able to support you and there is space for mutual feedback. Let them know your work schedule, especially if you know it might not coincide with theirs. For example, if you have children that need picking up from school each day, you might decide to start work earlier and finish early. It's important that both your manager and your team are aware when you will and won't be reachable, as this will set clear expectations and reduce the risk of miscommunication or conflict. You should also inform your manager of any adjustments or support you might need. Mutually agree the frequency and methods of contact and clearly establish how, if and when you need to report your work to them. Finally, try to be proactive with team building activities and socialising. Although this can sometimes feel forced and not everyone will participate, research shows that this is particularly helpful for virtual teams. Virtual working also presents some unique challenges to individual well-being. One of the biggest risks is increased loneliness and isolation, particularly if you live alone. Humans are social creatures that crave person-to-person interaction, so if you're not getting this through work, think of how you can get it elsewhere. Working virtually, especially at home, can mean blurred boundaries between work and non-work activities. It might not be possible to work in a dedicated space, such as an office in your house, and you might engage in non-work activities like doing washing during your working day. Whilst this can give you more flexibility, not establishing clear boundaries can make it difficult to switch off from work, which is an essential part of maintaining well-being. Virtual working might also make you feel more inclined to work longer hours or stay constantly switched on through technology, especially if you've saved time on commuting. If this isn't properly managed, you can run the risk of experiencing burnout, which is emotional, mental, and physical exhaustion that occurs when perceived work demands are too high. We might also be inclined to assume that our colleagues or manager are too busy to help us, or that we'll be burdening them if we ask for support. Research has shown that this assumption is often incorrect, but can seriously harm our mental well-being if we don't feel properly supported. Again, this is where communication is vital. Finally, poorly designed workspaces can increase our risk of musculoskeletal disorders, which can have a long-lasting implication on our physical and mental health. To alleviate some of the risks we've just discussed, here are some things you can do. Firstly, maintain face-to-face interaction as much as possible, particularly outside of work. This can help to offset the lack of rich social interaction at work. Scheduling your day is a really simple but effective way of ensuring you establish boundaries between work and home life. Make sure you factor in time for relaxation, exercise, or spending time with family and friends, and avoid bad habits like eating in front of your computer screen. Making lists can also help you to feel more in control of your work tasks and reduce stress. Maintain regular communication with your team and line manager using video wherever possible. This will help you to feel more connected and reduce barriers to asking for help. Avoid doing any work-related activities close to bedtime. It's vital that you're able to switch off and relax, as this will promote a better quality of sleep and make you more productive the next day. Set expectations around your availability and working schedules and clearly communicate this with your team and line manager. This will avoid the risk of miscommunication or conflict, or make you feel under pressure to respond outside of these schedules. Write a wellness action plan. This is a practical tool that will help you stay on top of your mental well-being and establish a plan for times when you might not feel so great. You can also use this to guide conversations with your line manager. The Mind website has a great example of a wellness action plan and a guide for using it. Ask your employer for an occupational health assessment of your working space to ensure that you're not putting yourself at risk of developing any physical injuries. Finally, learn how to spot signs that stress might be affecting you. This will be different for everyone, but it will help you to identify when you might need to ask for support or take a break. Thanks for taking time to listen to this short webinar on how to optimize virtual working. For more of these videos, you can visit our YouTube channel. Just search for Thrive Mental Wellbeing in the search bar. Finally, if you haven't already, make sure you download the Thrive app. There's over 100 hours of content to help you manage stress, build resilience, and prevent mental health conditions. Thanks for listening.